This week's episode of Billy's Cruise Takes comes to you from Fort Lauderdale Beach. Cruise lines may be ramping up their return to service, but did you know there are two brand new cruise lines that set sail for the first time this week? Meanwhile, some guests planning on sailing to the U.S. Virgin Islands may need to adjust their plans and check with their travel agents. But first, the reason that everyone cruising should get a COVID test before sailing. After multiple record-setting infection days on land and small number of cases on ships, Carnival Cruise Line, Holland America Line, and Princess Cruises began requiring that all guests, regardless of vaccination status, provide proof of a recent negative COVID test in order to board their cruise. This comes less than a week after Royal Caribbean and Celebrity began requiring pre-check-in test results for all guests. They also began requiring all guests wear masks in multiple areas around the ship, including casinos, elevators, and other spaces that draw crowds. My take. Yes, constant changes are frustrating. Cruisers and non-cruisers can relate right now. These changes, though, are an effort to ensure guest safety and help the public see that cruising is a safe way to vacation, especially right now. If you don't want to sail with these new policies, the good news is that most lines are allowing guests to cancel and get future cruise credits, provided they notify the line at least 48 hours before they sail. Now, whether or not your cruise line requires you to provide a negative COVID test before check-in, you should absolutely get tested before your cruise. We're sailing again in less than 2 weeks, and we'll definitely be doing this. Why? Well, while you may be unlikely to test positive, there are two simple reasons. First, policies change quickly. As inconvenient as this extra test may be, it'll be a lot more inconvenient if it becomes a requirement right before your cruise. Second, many lines are testing guests at the port of embarkation, and it'd be a shame to go through the time and expense of traveling to the port only to find out that you're not able to sail, and that you just infected an Airbus full of people. The mass changes at these Carnival Corporation brands mean that outside of some Alaska sailings, the only major cruise line currently sailing in North America not requiring vaccinated guests to don masks indoors is Celebrity Cruises. We wouldn't be surprised at all if Celebrity updates their policies, but only time will tell. Last week, the U.S. Virgin Islands enacted a new law that says that cruise ships can only dock if all guests 12 and older are fully vaccinated against COVID-19. This change has cruise lines scrambling to ensure they're able to comply, and in some cases, it's requiring big changes. The biggest is for Royal Caribbean's Allure of the Seas sailing out of Port Carnival this weekend and scheduled to visit St. Thomas. Royal Caribbean is one of only two major lines, the other being NSC, to set sail with fewer than 95% of guests fully vaccinated. My take. I'm surprised more cruise destinations haven't done this. Yes, these places want tourists to return for the sake of the economy, but there is a cost associated with higher infection rates, and requiring vaccinations would seem a good way to reduce that risk. The last-minute nature of these changes, however, is certainly an issue for many cruisers, especially those traveling with children, who perhaps only recently became eligible for vaccination. The timing is what's most interesting, though, as it could potentially be fortuitous for Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings, who's suing the state of Florida over their vaccine passport ban. One of the several points made by the cruise company's lawyers is that the state of Florida's ban violates what's called the Commerce Clause of the U.S. Constitution, which gives Congress the power to regulate interstate commerce. The ban, as it seems to be worded, is prohibiting commerce between cruisers and lines in Florida, cruisers on lines in Florida, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. If we do see NCLH prevail against the state, it's not surprising to see other cruise destinations enact similar requirements as the Virgin Islands. Two new cruise lines set sail this week. Long-awaited Virgin Voyages first ship Scarlet Lady left for her very first revenue sailing on Friday on a 3-night cruise out of Portsmouth, England. She was originally supposed to set sail from Miami on April 1st of 2020, but was delayed due to the pandemic. The adults-only cruise line will move the 2,700-passenger, 110,000 gross ton ship to the Caribbean in October, sailing from Miami starting October 6th, and we will be on board to report back. Also, Atlas Ocean Voyages first ship, a small luxury expedition vessel named World Navigator, set sail this week from Piraeus, Greece. She'll be sailing 7 to 12-night cruises carrying about 160 guests on a 10,000 gross ton ship that carries its own zodiacs and jet skis and promises not only adventurous itineraries, but also excursions. My take. This would be exciting news at any time, but given the long pause in cruising, it feels really fantastic. Atlas is notable because of the small ships, even smaller than many modern luxury ships. I've got 3 types of expectations for Atlas. I expect they'll have a very high-end product, I expect them to differentiate themselves in merging luxury and expedition cruising, and I expect they'll always be far out of my budget. But if you're fortunate enough to sail with them, let us know what you think. Switching to Virgin Voyages, they got a lot of attention in the years leading up to this start. They perked up the ears of many potential sailors as Virgin calls their guests when it was announced that they'd offer adult-only cruises. Everything about Virgin is advertised as being different. For example, they don't have buffets, they have food halls. Whether cruising Virgin turns out to be really different or just different in name only remains to be seen. One thing quite different, guests on this first sailing found condoms and other sexual wellness products in a care kit in their staterooms. That is different. Competition is always good, and I'm personally very excited to sail. Not only will I be on the maiden US voyage, but I may have already booked another couple cruises with them, so we'll be covering them lots. You can find links to relevant content in the description below. Please leave us a comment and let us know what you think about Billy's Cruise Take series. For more cruise tips and information, be sure to like this video, click below to subscribe to the cruisehabit.com YouTube channel, follow us on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, and check out cruisehabit.com. I look forward to talking ship with all of you again real soon.